Hello, everyone. Welcome to MediaNama. Last week, a US appeals court struck down net neutrality in the country. This means that the rules preventing blocking access to certain sites, speeding up or slowing down traffic to certain sites, and singling out the source and destination of traffic no longer apply in the US. This is a breakdown of why this is happening and why this doesn't affect India's position on net neutrality. So, first things first, what is net neutrality? Net neutrality is a concept that suggests that all traffic on the internet should be treated equally. It means that telecom companies should not discriminate between people and organizations accessing the internet. If enforced, it prevents telecom companies from what we just discussed. So, blocking access to certain sites, slowing up or speeding down traffic to them, and so on. So, for instance, let's say there's a big social media platform like maybe Facebook and an up and coming platform called Y. If net neutrality isn't in place, the big social media platforms like Facebook will be able to pay telecom companies to ensure that their platforms load faster on your devices than Y. This means that Y would not be able to fairly compete for an user base on the internet, basically depriving it from any chance of ever succeeding. Now, in the US, net neutrality is something that the communications regulator, the Federal Communication Commission or FCC, has instated and repealed across different government regimes. Most recently, in 2024, the FCC voted to reinstate the protection after previously repealing it in 2017. However, soon after the regulator reinstated net neutrality, telecom companies took the matter to court. So, what is telecom companies' issue with net neutrality? Companies suggest that net neutrality protections will force them to scrap offerings, slow investment, and shoulder substantial new compliance and capital costs. Basically, the protections take away one of the avenues that telecom companies have to charge social media platforms. Telecom companies in the US mentioned that a lack of net neutrality rules in the US has led to higher speeds and lower costs for consumers, enabling widespread access to a faster internet. They also pushed back against the FCC's constant flip flop between implementing and taking back net neutrality. In India as well, telecom companies have posed issues with net neutrality. In 2023, during a regulatory consultation about implementing regulations for communication platforms, telecom companies argued that online platforms with a large user base should pay them a network usage fee for using their network infrastructure and putting pressure on it based on the traffic that they generate. One of the key issues with this idea is that online platforms, just like everyone else, already pay telecom companies to send data across the internet. By asking them to pay a second network usage fee on top of what they already pay would be double charging, which is a discriminatory practice, as such, a violation of net neutrality. Further, even the distinction that they put between startups, or smaller businesses, and larger platforms when deciding who will pay or will not pay a network usage fee is also a discriminatory practice. Given the push for network usage fee in India, one might initially be inclined to think that the US judgment could give telecom companies in India important material to sort of push their stance. However, it's important to note here that there is a specific context in which this judgment comes in place. So, in the US, to bring in net neutrality and to basically regulate the internet at all, the FCC has to classify broadband internet service as a telecommunication service under Title II of the US Communication Act. This is basically what the FCC ended up doing in 2024 when they implemented the net neutrality rules. The court has disagreed with this interpretation. They instead suggest that broadband internet is an information service, which means that the FCC lacks statutory authority to impose net neutrality on this service. However, in India, net neutrality is well within the scope of the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. In fact, the regulator actively imposes regulations and carries out consultations on broadband related issues. This tells us that while relevant to the perspective of ensuring fair market competition in the world, the decision that the US court has taken isn't something that should sway the stance on net neutrality in India. So far, the 2023 consultation has not seen any conclusion. There's no recommendations, there's no regulations. But as far as the perspective of this court order affecting the matter is concerned, ideally, it is important to remember that discriminatory practices, whether through speed throttling or double charging, go against the very principle of an open and accessible internet. If you want to learn more about net neutrality and other telecom related issues in India and abroad, you should take a look at our website. Thank you.